so much for Patrice for being willing to meet with me, to have this open and honest conversation. I was so excited when you contacted me after my previous video, because I feel like the more we can get together and just have like open and honest discussion, the more we can learn, the more we can move forward with better knowledge, and the more we can just understand the experience that African American dancers have had, especially in the belly dance realm, all throughout the US during, the last couple of decades. And I think that these conversations and your voices are so incredibly important. So thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for opening up this conversation. It's so special. I appreciate it so much. Thank
I'm honored to be able to have a
you.
conversation
Yeah,
like this.
beautiful.
So yeah, so I really am very interested in your story, and I want my viewers to know your story. I feel like as a belly dancer, and I've been doing this for 20 years now, I've always had the sort of rose-colored glasses view that like belly dance is for everyone, and it doesn't matter who you are or what you look like, gender or race or size or sexual preference. Like because I've seen a lot of that. Like I've seen a lot of open inclusivity and a lot of positivity in the last 20 years, but I feel like I have not been aware of things that are also happening that aren't as inclusive. And so I'm curious to get different dancers' personal experiences to sort of help me understand how things are. And then we'll talk more about like what we need to do moving forward to make belly dance that rosy, fabulous, wonderful, all-inclusive thing that I've always thought it would be. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the dance, what drew you to the dance, your first belly dance class, your first performance, and what it was like for you to get into the scene?
All right. Well, my story is unique and different in the sense that, my story starts with my grandma being a preacher. I came from a grandma that's a preacher, and I took after her. So I'm now a minister. I minister to women. And I also started off as a dancer and an actress and a performer. So I had these both sides of me that was like the dancer, performer, and one that was so strong in the Lord and Christian faith. And in the Christian faith, how you become a Christian is to receive Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And that happened at 15, where I asked Jesus in my heart to be my Lord and Savior. But then between then and later on in life, I won't tell my age. Oh, maybe I will. And then I actually got to a place in my life where I had a pivotal moment. I was into dancing and everything, two things going on at the same time. The spiritual side is I gave my life to God. I said, that's it. I'm living for you, Lord. You tell me what to do. I'm going to do it. But back when I was younger, leading up to that, I already decided I was going to be an actress. I was in high school. My dance teacher and my acting teacher were fighting over me. Like, no, we want her to be the star. And I chose acting because I just thought of this today, by the way. But I didn't feel like I was able to advance in the way that I was good at dancing in the dance world. It was always something unique and different in the sense that my abilities were more of an international dancing and modern dance, but I was so good at dancing all kinds of dances from any country. And then I was also good at my modern dance and all the professional stuff and classical dancing. But as I grew older, while the Christian side was going on, I was learning who I was as a dancer. And in college, I was always doing Caribbean dance. And I grew up in a Hispanic neighborhood, and I danced salsa, merengue. So I was building this repertoire, and I'm like, okay, while I'm a professional, I have all these, modern dance and jazz and all this professional dancing. I'm also a natural dancer. And I started to realize that I picked up international dance so well. And then later on, I said, there's no room for it. This is early on. I'm a lot older than I look. And now there's so much room for dance in so many different genres. And I'm like, wow, this is my time. But I was already going into my acting. And then at that pivotal moment in my life, the Lord said, I want you to dance. I'm like, yeah, but I think I should, that's my thing. That's my personal thing that I love, but I don't do it professionally. I do it professionally when the time comes, but I want to focus on my acting. But the Lord said, no, I want you to dance for me. And I'm like, okay. So I did a dance fitness program, and I incorporated my international dance. And he says, no, I want you to belly dance. That's what we consider it, rock shark. We know what it really is called, but my understanding, he knew what I understood, and I'm like, what? And I had already been doing the dances. I had already been incorporating it because of all the ability, the fact that I could pick up so many dances, and I was into dance fitness, so of course we had all these different dances in there with Zumba influence and all that. And I call myself someone who had an idea for Zumba before Zumba, but that's my thing, because I was so into international dance way before Zumba, and I wanted to show it to the world. No one had been interested, and then Zumba came along, and I was like, okay, if you can't beat them, join them. And so then after this, I had my own dance fitness program. It was unique. It was unique in the sense that it came from the strong dancer's background as a natural dancer and a trained dancer with my degrees in dance and theater and all that. And had brought it. I said, okay, Lord, I'm doing it. I did a DVD and I did all that. And then he switched it on me. He's like, okay, I want you to belly dance. I'm like, this is where you come in. I'm like, I don't want to belly dance. They're intimidating. And this is what you want to hear. Let me tell you what you want. It seems so closed, and it seems so like they're going to not include me. They're not, no, I don't want to do that. Can I just keep doing it the way I've been doing? The Lord's like, no, that's what I want you to do. I'm like, but I want to do salsa. I want to do, this is a weird story, but it's like the Lord is telling me to do. I didn't come into belly dance on my own. It was just something I was just doing naturally. And I saw myself doing it. I was doing the moves so naturally. I didn't even know where I learned it, but I learned it. And my top video on YouTube is teaching the belly dance wine naturally. And they said, you're a great teacher, because I'm also a teacher, certified teacher. And so I'm like, Lord, you're right. I do have these gifts. So that's when, as a dancer, I believe that dance is a language. Mm-hmm. And I believe that, sure, you can kind of learn some stuff over here. I learned Spanish from my best friend growing up in a Hispanic neighborhood. But I went to Spain to immerse myself in the language to really learn it properly. So I felt the same way with belly dance. I was like, okay, so now let me learn this language. That's because I see dance as language. And let me learn it properly so that I can make sure that I'm speaking this language well. So because the Lord told me to do this, and I believe that in my faith, it was part of my women's ministry. It turned into part of my women's ministry. I was already doing a dance fitness women's ministry. And I said, okay, Lord, why belly dance? The more I prayed and talked to the Lord, the more I'm like, duh, a woman's ministry belly dance? That makes 100% make sense. And I was like, duh, I'm perfect for this because I love this. You know what I mean? So I just started to answer those questions so that I can answer the question by asking the Lord and just learning and just going through this journey. And now I've come to the understanding that it fits perfectly with my ministry for women of spirituality and sensuality, something that's been a lifelong thing for me. The Lord knew this because he made me. And he didn't want me to be under a professor. He wanted me to learn this and not give another person the credit. It was him that told me to do it. So I learned it virtually. And I just studied and studied and studied and learned. And I was like, okay, so that's what I've been doing. That's what that's called. So it was really interesting. And then I just thought, okay, this is my modern dance posture. This is the stuff that I've already, it's kind of, the classic ballet and all that's in there. So of course I already had the background. And I was like, okay, I see what you're doing here, Lord. I can see my body does it so naturally. But then I had to make it my own. And that's where I would like to talk to you more about where I am and how I use it versus how others use it. And I said, Lord, I don't look this, you know what I mean? I want to talk to you more about that. But how I arrived, it really wasn't my idea. It was the Lord's idea. And I'm discovering every day how it's such a blessing for women and how I use it for them to unlock their joy. And that's what I've been doing for years. And I'm like, Lord, I was a little nervous at first, but this is amazing. This is a great idea. And he's like, of course it was a great idea.
Of course, I'm sure it's like, I told you so, right? I mean, it's a beautiful story that you were called to it. And a couple of things that so many things that I took from that, like obviously, yes, for women, this is such, and even for a lot of men, this is a very empowering dance. It is very sensual. It helps a lot of people unlock and work through trauma. There's a lot of healing aspects of dance and art in general, but I feel like specifically this dance, because you're so in touch with your body and it is so creative, right? At its heart, it's, an improvisational and you're creating dance with the music. So yeah, I can imagine that it fits in really well with your women's ministry and would be like a great tool for people to use to find centeredness and spirituality. And I love that so much. And I wanted to applaud, like, I love that you kind of came to it from a place of, I do all these different dances and this feels very natural to me, but I love that you say that you decided to go in and actually like study it, to learn the language, like to go to Spain and immerse yourself, to get into class and learn it, because that's something that's big within the community, especially of longtime dancers and instructors, is it's so important to respect the culture, right? And then to really like learn about the culture, learn about the dance, and to really truly understand it, which allows you to do all the fabulous things you do with it, which we'll talk about. But what I want to go back to a couple of minutes ago, you mentioned, and I'm so curious, how when you first thought, because you do all these dances, but when you were first called to belly dance, the first thing you thought was, oh no, that's so intimidating. I'll never be accepted. Now, was that a racial thing in your mind, or was it just in general, like, I don't know I couldn't touch that. Like, why intimidating, and why the worry? I'm curious.
Okay, so I'm gonna preface, I'm always gonna be honest, so
Please, and thank you.
no, but I'm gonna be honest with you, Sahara, and I think you would agree. With all that's been going on, do you feel like there's some things you didn't know might have been racial that you just thought you didn't really stop to think what it was? You just felt it. And then now you're looking back and like, was that because of the color? You see what I mean? So it's kind of in that place where I never stopped. I'm like you, not quite Switzerland, but as an African-American woman growing up with so much, I said, I'm not going to jump there quickly. This is what I would always do, because I wanted to have conversations. This is what I love about you, and this is why I felt so connected, is that, I'll go there, but first let me check off the list and make sure that's what this is. So if I had a job, or if I had anything, I was like, let me just make sure I've done all the things I was supposed to do. Everything looks fine. You are acting a little strange. You didn't treat me the same. You know what I mean? I make sure I go through all, and I like I said, I'm older than I look. So I've been through a long history of watching America get to where it is today, growing up in the 70s, let me give you that much. And so I decided, because my parents were hippies, and they were they did sit-ins and very intellectual, and they actually fought for equal rights. And so I grew up in a home with these intellectual parents, and a grandmother was preacher, and I had to like balance all that stuff. And I said, I know what I'm gonna do. I know God loves everyone, and I'm just gonna go in fresh and make sure I'm doing my part, and there's legitimate reason if there is an issue or anything. If I've checked everything, and I think it is, then it probably is. So with that in mind, with belly dance, I have to say these were the things that were going through my mind. And I think things have changed since Shakira. But before that, there were older women in America they were white, older. I didn't like the dress. I didn't like the way it looked. I didn't like the aura. And it seemed very exclusive, where they're not inviting. I felt as though, sure, there was this hafla where everybody can come and have fun, but if you ever wanted to do it seriously, then we were going to, it's almost like being an opera singer. It was inapproachable. Mm-hmm. Only the ones that did it these many years and did it with this person. So it was almost like if God told me, I want you to be an opera singer right now. I'm like, what? Where do I begin? You know what I mean? It was one of those things where it was kept so protected that it didn't feel inviting. And it wasn't beautiful to me, I'm going to be honest, at the time, because it was just the older 70s. Maybe it was like because remember, I'm older, so I'm used to looking at that older look, the vintage. And I didn't feel like I like that young and fresh. As I started to learn more about belly dance, when I finally got back, I started uncovering it more. I thought, no, wait a minute, that's not true. And I started to look into it more. It's so quiet, and it's got its own little following and community that you have to like get in it to learn more about it. If you really think you know it from the outside, you're wrong. You have to literally get in it, like I did with Spain, immerse yourself, like learn and look at the different shapes and sizes and all the different things that are there. And I was like, wow, there's more to belly dance than I thought. And my daughter was into it before I was. I don't know why, I just was turned off. I don't know, maybe I saw something I didn't think was beautiful during a certain time, and then it changed and I never saw that. But then, and I also met a belly dancer in my area that I tried to collaborate with and do international dance with, and very standoffish, it wasn't very inviting and older. And it was just what I thought it would be, And then I thought, but then I felt like I wanted to challenge it. I was like, as soon as somebody tells me I can't, no.
You're one of those.
I didn't want to challenge. And so I said, Lord, are you sure? And then I didn't listen at first. I said, let me do Kizumba. Maybe he means that. He can't mean this, What will the church say? So I had a rough time. I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then I started getting in. I started saying, this is really nice. I really love this. And I said, okay, so this is where I know a teacher like yourself will really appreciate. I said, if I'm going to come into this, is it Egyptian? Is it Turkish? Is it where am I going? And a lot of people are like, okay, you can do tribal, you can do this, you can do cabaret. And I knew what I wanted from the beginning. I knew I wanted to cabaret. I knew I wanted that. So I was like, okay, you chose that. What do they look like? Well, none of them look like me. That was the other thing. And then I had to make some decisions on how I was going to approach it. And I know the Lord made me, so he knows how I'm going to approach things. I'm going to be me. I'm going to approach it being me. I think I may be the Caribbean fusion belly dancer.
You're the only one I've heard of, that's for sure.
I'm officially going to say it. I'm the. I know I'm the one in Atlanta, but I am the Caribbean fusion belly dancer, but I'm definitely the Caribbean belly dancing minister. We know that for sure, right?
Sure, for sure.
That's what I had to do. And I wanted to talk to you more because you were asking me questions about what other women can do and everything. And I want to get to that, how I approach that. But I decided, like I did with my dance fitness program, I'll show you the DVD. It's really cute. I look different.
Oh my God, look at you.
When I did this, I looked very different. And with that, I said, Lord, I'm going to move forward in obedience. And they're going to tell me what it is. I'm going to put in my heart what I think you want me to do with my dance fitness program. But as the people respond to me, they're going to say, oh, it's so this, it's uplifting. I've lost a lot of pounds. And that's how I went about it. Same thing with belly dance. I said, Lord, I'm going to put myself out there. And we're moving to Atlanta. I moved here for acting, didn't know that this was an amazing place for belly dance. See, I didn't plan it. And I believe when you walk in the Spirit, if you're a Christian, and what my faith is that when you receive Jesus as your Savior, you're going to heaven. But there's this time between that and completely giving yourself to God and saying, God, you see all the stuff that I do. I can't lead myself. There's so much I could be doing. Lord, you tell me what to do. And ever since then, he's paved a way. In other words, he knows who's going to hire me. So I went to Atlanta for acting, and still at the infant stages of being confident with what he wanted me to do with belly dance. This is like a mecca for belly dance. I had no idea. I didn't plan that. So I just opened up my doors to belly dance, and I said, okay, I'm stepping out on faith. And I got all these responses. A lot of people of color, African-American people, they are used to belly dance here, but they're not used to seeing me. They're used to belly dance, but not seeing me. There was another girl that was an African-American woman that kind of made herself look more Middle Eastern because she had been doing it for years, and that's how she had to succeed. And she might have paved the way in some way. But when I came in, I had made the decision in my life that I was in this place, and I'm going to go like I am. The first party that I got was a woman that said, I just came back from Jamaica, and I just want this Jamaican theme. And I was like, that's it. I had that in my heart. I had always had that Caribbean in there. And I said, Lord, you tell me what kind of belly dancer. And that's how he told me what people saw me as being, or what their desires were. I was like, how would she know that I'm so good at Caribbean and Latin and all that? She doesn't know that. She just wanted that. And I felt that was the Lord. I was like, that's you, Lord. I know that's you, because I was willing to do whatever. And she told me, I was like, okay, I know that's what. So that's how I knew. And then I deliver exactly what I say I'm going to deliver. You want a Caribbean fusion belly dance? That's exactly what you get. So I show the Egyptian, I start off with the proper, and then I'm like, break into it.
Uh-huh.
And then I kind of show them. And like we talked before, this is a great way to introduce to anyone who would want to do what I do. You can do this, you can do it. Decide where you want to go. Make sure that you're respecting that genre, and when you decide what you are going to be a part, if you're going to be all classical, then you need to say it and you need to deliver that. You need to deliver that. If you're not, then, you deliver what you say you're going to, and that's what I deliver. And I bring that party at the end where I get everybody up moving. So everything I say I'm going to do, I deliver. I get all 5 stars. People love me, white, black. So my experience in Atlanta has been amazing in the sense that I can't tell, since I've been in it, I can't tell. I don't know if you've asked that yet, but I can't tell because I've been walking in the Spirit. I feel like the Lord is just, he sends me the right places, and I haven't had an issue. Getting into it, like I said, I was nervous, but if there's anyone listening and think they know what belly dance is, and they need to actually take a class or really unfold what belly dance is, because it's so much more beautiful and so amazing than you can ever imagine. And it took a while for me to see that, and now I'm in love with it. I love it. And I'm like, I was born to move like this. Oh my goodness. And I had heard that throughout my life. I'm like, look how you use your hands, and look how you do this. And I thought that was like Latin. I thought that was because of the salsa and everything. But now God is revealing to me that I was born to do this. It just comes so natural. And I think I've heard a lot of people that take belly dance classes, they say it's such a natural thing for women. it should be natural for us to be able to move our bodies in this way, but sometimes it's not, and we have to unlock that for them, you know? You
Exactly,
know?
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I love what you say because belly dance, I think, is a many layered onion. And it's one of those things like I feel most people are aware that there's a thing called belly dancing, right? And maybe someone's seen it, maybe they haven't. But until you step foot
Yes,
into a
exactly.
classroom
Yes.
and like experience it for yourself, and then like the wide, wide world of what is belly dance across the world right now opens up to you, it is a giant treasure chest and you will fall in and you will never be able to
Perfect.
get back out.
Perfect.
And it's wonderful. I always say be careful. I tell my students, I said it will suck you in and your life will never be the same because it's just one of
It's
those like
amazing.
until you get into it you have no idea just the depth and breadth of the world that exists,
Yes.
right? And
And
it's pretty magical.
yes, and the range between just doing it for fun, doing it for recreation, and then the professional, which, you know, if you want to talk about that, we can talk about
Yes, that is definitely something I'd like to talk about. Before we touch on that, I'm curious. So you didn't start belly dancing in Atlanta. You started somewhere else and then moved to Atlanta after you had started dancing?
my I started my professional going out. The thing is, I've been a professional dancer for so many years, and I've been a dancer for so many years, and international, and whatever way I need, I just dance. And so whatever they're asking for, I'm going to do. And I've been doing it on YouTube, which is, and you know, we have to define what professional is, right? So, but I personally didn't switch on the, okay, I'm doing this until I did it before I was in Atlanta, but I didn't begin the full on, this is my next step in life until
Hmm.
I came to Atlanta, if that makes any sense. So I
Yeah,
was doing it and
absolutely.
incorporating it, but I didn't make that switch professional, you know what I mean? To stop
Gotcha.
everything else and focus on what God told me to do until I came to Atlanta.
You started taking classes before going to Atlanta. Like, I'm
Yeah.
curious how much of your experience, and there's no way to know because there's no way to rehab your experience, with like seeing it as something that was a little bit older and didn't really appeal to you, how much of that might be dependent on where you were in addition to when you were, because I feel like the style has changed and it's a much bigger scene now than it was, even when I started 20 years ago. But I think there's probably a combination of, perhaps the time and the place that
Yeah.
would affect that. But when you finally like set foot into a studio to start taking classes, did you feel accepted? I don't know if it was in Atlanta or elsewhere. Did you feel walking into a studio of belly dancers like you belonged there? Did you have that strength in yourself because of your calling from God, or did you have any questions as to whether that was where you're supposed to be?
Well, most of my learning, I did distant learning, and it was
Okay.
because of that reason, because I did not feel comfortable with the ones that I did know.
Ah,
And I did not want, I knew that God gave me this gift. That's the part where, okay, so I am a certified teacher. I respect the vocation of education, and I respect that for dance and for anything else. But my big thing that I am concerned with is that there are a lot of us that are natural born artists. We truly are. And there are people who have done great paintings. That there's a little girl that's been known for, she has had experience going to heaven and back. And she's, I don't know if you know her, I don't have her name, but one of the most amazing artists, and she never took an art class. My son is a prodigy. There are so many people that are born dancers, and we don't have an explanation as to why. And I believe I'm one of those people that had to protect that. And what I do is, while I have that teacher side of me that respects education, I also respect God-given talent. And there's got to be a balance there. And I protected myself by not going into a class. That I did, because I did see a lot of that. I did see that from my perspective in where I was in North Carolina. And in the town that I was, everything was very small. When there wasn't a big city like where you are, where I am now. And there's a lot of competition as to, Zumba was like that. And there's a lot of that going on as it was. We had one girl that was known for being the belly dancer, and I started to hear them talk, and they're like, oh no, you should do this. Oh no, you belong here. And I just thought, okay, I'm done. So this is hard to take as a teacher, but I have to, it's very important to be careful when you have a natural gift, when you go to learn and refine your skills. It could actually hurt you if you don't have the right teacher, like what your student was saying about you. If you don't find the right environment, and if you're not in the right place, they could actually decide, oh, because you don't fit here, because your body looks different, and because you're moving differently. And this is where the African American part comes in. Dancer for many, many years, over 30 years. I mean, I've been dancing since I was a little girl. I will be 50 this year, God willing. So I've been dancing for a very long time, since I was like 7. And so natural dancer and trained. And I have noticed that while people think I'm so amazing, I'm like, where's my lead part? In acting, I was always able to be a lead, but there was always this thing with dance. And so this is where the Black thing, the African descent comes in. I have dark skin, so I stand out. I have obviously full hair. I have a curve in my back. For years, my dance teacher would teach me how to straighten my back, because I always had an arch. So I've learned that. Even when I straighten my back, I still have a bottom. As an African American woman, I stand out no matter what I do. And when you're trying to get the lines and you're trying to do the moves, I'm going to stand out no matter what I do. And so one of our top belly dancers, I believe it's Copeland, yeah, I think her name is, she's even talked about it, and she's amazing. So it's something about the way our muscles are, the way our bodies are, the way we can't, it's unapologetically what it is. And sometimes institutionalizing something can exclude if we don't look exactly the same. And when you think of ballet, or you think of modern, or you think of now with belly dance adopting those things, while we can do those moves just fine, when we come out of where our dances come from, our bodies just move slightly different, and it's beautiful, but it's different, and it's okay. And I think when you get into when you start to institutionalize things, you start to say, no, this is the way. This is the way you got to look. This is the way it has to be. You got to be careful when my body comes in and it doesn't do it exactly, but it's still good. You know, I'm bringing a flavor that only I can bring. It's like my fingerprint. And I, being the educator that I am, I did this with my son. I ended up homeschooling him because he's a prodigy. He's an artist, an animator. He's been doing it since he was 2. And I was given advice by a gentleman that was a little young boy that was in the art institute. He was like this great artist. And I said, look, my son's 8. What should I do? He's like, let him be natural as long as possible. Don't put him in school yet. It could ruin him. And I remembered that. And he's still in love with it. He loves it. So the answer is, I want to preserve whatever God is telling me. I want it to be from him. He's the one above me. No teacher's above me. I heard a lot of people saying, well, I studied with this person. So what are you saying? That person gave you your gift? So no, that person didn't give you your gift, but it does matter that they were with you. But don't forget, God gave you your gift. And so God led me to not be under anyone, because he wants no one to take credit but him. And so he wanted me to learn distance. And I know I've watched some dancers get ridiculed for that. And I thought, wow, this industry is a little much, but most industries are. But there's something there that is pushing people away, because now everybody has to do it online. And a lot of us, it's okay to do it if you join somebody's website, but you can't do it. It's like, you can learn distance, and I learned distance. I actually took courses on distance learning. I studied by watching, I studied by reading, I did all that, and I did what the Lord said. He didn't want me under anyone. And so that kind of goes against the schooling, but only in the sense that if you take education and you take the institutionalizing something that was never needed that. So let's think about the back when it all started. They were in the streets dancing. And from what I understand, there were peasants, poor people dancing. God gave them those gifts. Everyone loved it. And then it got institutionalized. And we love that, what happened, but we got to be careful for that institutionalizing to shut doors for anyone whose body moves a little different. Is it wrong because it moves, when I say that word, I have a little different accent than, you see what I'm saying? So if a person from Africa learns a language, they're always gonna have a little bit of that accent there probably when they say the language. It's not that they're not saying it, but they're saying it with a little different accent. And so is it wrong? Is it right or wrong? I don't know. I believe with language is that, which I believe dance is, I think it evolves, like we talked about. As long as we remember what it is, we don't change what it is. But I believe it has evolved. What it is today was an evolution of what it was originally. So now we're deciding we're not going to let it to evolve anymore. You know what I mean? So my whole point is that if you're going to teach belly dance, which I don't want to teach it per se. I do want to teach enough for people to be able to unlock their joy. That's about it. And I'm a professional dancer. But if you're going to teach anything, especially dance or anything that has to do with God giving the gifts, you gotta keep that opening air for, did you do the movement right? But when you do it, your body just says it a little different than my body. Where can the teacher see that? And where is that okay? Because I'm coming from I'm not West Indian, but people think I am because I basically dance just like I am from there. But because my best friends in college were and I learned so much. But there's a way that the Caribbean dance moves where you actually bend your shoulders down and do this. Is that wrong? As long as I tell you that, you know what I mean? But you know what I mean? But if I do it this way, so it's like when I go up, how do I do it a little different from the way you do it? But is it wrong? Or is it the way God made me do it? So as a teacher, it's a very fine line for you to know, when do I tell her she's wrong? And when do I say, you're right, but wow, when you do it, never seen it done like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think as long as teachers are and I was a teacher, I taught Spanish, and I'm just a teacher. And it's important not to break the spirit of the person just because you've never seen it before. And if you're going to include new people, more African-American people, you're going to see moves that you've never seen before. You can see body shapes that she's a slim girl, but she's got this body that's different. And the way she's bringing in something that's a little slightly different from what she's doing. And yeah, she's hitting it, but why is it so different? Is it wrong? And that's where the teachers can help allow what might come in when you bring more African-American people or people, it's going to shift it a little. It's going to be a little something, but is it wrong? That's the thing. And that's what I've decided to be a part of. But there's a balance. And I'd love to hear how you, moving forward, and I hope you've already done it, how do you balance that? This is correct. But when you did that correctly, you still brought us something different. Like, how do you address that? Like, you know what I mean? So that's what would matter to me. And so the institution can actually be a place where we can be segregated and we can create things that are only in America, like the Zills and like all these, you know, like those things, and use that, not necessarily a good teacher, but it can be used, and it has been used, to say, these are the good dancers, these are the bad dancers, these are the ones I'm going to allow to go in the restaurants, these are not. And how can we open doors for more African-American people? Well, don't measure dancing based on props and on these technical things, but base it on their creative abilities to communicate through their dance. Give them tools to be themselves, and let's see what that is. Now let's find out what that is. That's not pure classical dance, but let's see what that is, because it's beautiful. What can we do with that? Does that make sense? I don't know.
You brought up like 100 different things I could have responded to. I'm like, wow.
I know.
Journey.
Is that okay? I didn't.
No.
Okay.
This is, I mean, because
these are the thoughts. These are
your thought process. Exactly. And so this is it. Like, it's interesting to see how one thought ties to the next. And so if I can just recall the few, I was like, okay. So going back, like, I think there's a couple of really good things that I think instructors can pull from this, talking about different bodies in your classroom. And this is something that has always been a part of my classroom. And I, a lot of classrooms that I've gone into, but some other classes, not so much, that even regardless of race, you get a lot of bodies in your classroom. I am blessed to have a huge variety of bodies in my classroom, between ages and weights and heights, and just everyone looks different. And so because of that, the dance is going to look different on each person.
Right.
And I love that. And I always try to let my students know that it's okay, because people will say, I keep doing it, but I don't look like you. And I'm like, no, of course you don't look like me. You're not me. Like, you're going to look like you. I learned this dance from a woman who's older, who looks nothing like me. She's like 5 inches taller than me and has got hips for days. And what she did, it didn't look the same on me. And luckily for me, I never felt self-conscious about that. I never felt that I was perhaps doing things incorrectly because it didn't look right. I was happy with how it looked on me. So I was like, I'll do it my way. And she never stopped me and said, oh, no, it should look like the way I do it. Right. Yeah. So I think this is huge, just understanding that in this dance form, I don't believe we should strive for everybody to look exactly the same. Now, there are certain troops out there that are like incredible. I call it drill team belly dance. They do some amazing like precision. They are the Rockettes of belly dance. And if that's their thing, you
Yeah.
know, I think they have the right to be like, okay, you know, we need
Yeah.
everybody to
Yeah. Yeah.
be
Yeah. Whatever it is.
5'6" and, you know, be able to shimmy at least 160 beats per minute. I don't know, whatever it is, if that's what they're going for, right? And then you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that, okay,
Yeah.
great, that's not for me.
Exactly.
But you
Exactly.
know, but
That's
I
what.
feel like definitely letting students understand that. And then you're right that obviously when we start talking about different ethnicities that are built differently, this is
Yeah.
going to be something that we as instructors continue to see in the classroom. And I think it's very important. I always tell my students, like, as long as you're not doing something that's going to injure your body or
That's
is
it.
culturally inappropriate within the dance,
Yes.
I can tell if you're doing it right,
Exactly.
if you're doing the move. Now, I also, one thing that I love as a student when I go and study is studying with someone who does the move really differently than I do. And I'm like, wow, this is weird and it doesn't feel quite right on me. I love trying to figure out how they do it. I'm like, let me do it your way while
Yeah.
I'm in your classroom. And
Right.
maybe it gets integrated into my vocabulary, maybe it doesn't, but I'm stretching and I'm learning and I'm trying to do things the way that you as the instructor are telling me to do, and I enjoy that challenge,
Yes.
right? I enjoy that. And so I love to learn it, you know, the right way, which is their right way, whatever the
Yeah.
classroom I'm in
Well,
at
when
that
we're in
point
each
in
other's,
time has.
yeah, dancers, when we go to each other's classes, we're supposed to give that instructor a chance to teach us.
Right. And so, yeah, show me the way you do it and let me
Yeah.
learn it. You know, I even love learning other people's choreographies. I'm like, I would have never
Yeah.
put those moves
I
together
love
like that. This is so interesting. And I learned so much from that process. So I think that that is really important, you know, to understand that learning the right way, learning the
Yes.
technique and whatnot
Yes.
is definitely important no matter how you come at the dance,
I
whether
agree.
you're
I
coming
agree.
at it from a natural place or coming at it from a I want to
I
get
agree.
in and learn it. And then even like you said, not using the certain lines or the look that you're looking for, you know, regardless of who's come into your classroom, to shut anyone down, to say, well, it doesn't look right on you, so you know maybe you shouldn't be doing this like that. That's never okay, especially since I would say 99.5% of the people that come into my classroom don't want to go perform at the restaurant. They don't want to go perform at, you know, the big event or the cultural festival.
Yeah.
They're there to have fun. They're
Yeah.
there to express themselves. They're there to, you know, find a creative outlet. They're there to sweat a bit, maybe lose a little bit of weight or just have a good time. And so I'm going to do nothing to stand in the way
Right.
of that happening. But it's true that like when things become a bit more institutionalized, you know, what do we gain, right, by belly dance now being kind of a recognized thing? There's festivals everywhere, there's classes on every corner, like it's a thing that people search out, you can find it online, like it's gaining respect. But you know, what do you lose? And I feel like what we lose very much depends on who the leaders are in the industry. What are they supporting and what are they promoting, right? Which is where we need to be really careful. And
Yeah.
so talking about, you know, since I just mentioned kind of the idea of so many people who walk into my classroom are just walking, they're there for fun. They
Yeah.
have no, you know, they're going to do my student showcase. They're going to
Yeah.
be super excited about it, but they're not looking to go pro and get paid
That's when it
to
gets serious.
do this. And so there's definitely a divide, as you've experienced, between like, I just want to have fun and dance at the Hafla this weekend, and I would like to get hired to dance at a wedding here in town. And this is, I think, where I finally understood my misunderstanding of the inclusivity of the belly dance world. I feel like for the most part, and I know that it's not where it needs to be, if you want to just come to a class and have a good time, you can probably, definitely here in Houston, there are plenty of places, no matter who you are, you're going to find your home,
Yeah.
right? Now, I understand that sometimes it's less comfortable for people to walk into a space where they do not see their own person reflected back to them. They're like, I do not see other people who look
Yeah.
like me. I
That's
do not
fair.
see a
Yeah.
large percentage of African Americans. I do have, you know, several in my class, which makes me very grateful to know that they feel comfortable in my classroom. That's very important to me. But regardless of, you know, looking another step past that is, you know, are the instructors being supportive and being open? And I think you can certainly find that in the belly dance community. But now if we take it, you know, down the road and someone wants to go pro, somebody wants to go to the restaurant, somebody wants to dance at the cultural event, or they want to dance at the wedding or the corporate event, this is where I think a lot of the discrimination happens. This is where a lot of the racism occurs in lots of different directions, right? Against African Americans. I've seen it happen here against American, very pale, white, redheaded dancers. I've seen it against Asian dancers in my troupe. I've seen it, all over the place. And I guess, so my question, like I always like to ask, where do we go from here? What are the concrete actions that myself as a teacher, myself as a promoter of belly dance to the world in general can do to help fight, to be actively anti-racist and to help pull more people into the fold, to invite them to this gigantic party we've got going on over here, right? I want everyone to know how amazing it is. And it's almost on two levels, right? It's almost on two levels. So I don't know, I know you've done both, right? Like, so you've been there as a student and you've been there as a pro. So I guess maybe if we could just talk about, what do you see as positive ways that we can affect change in those two realms? Because I feel like maybe those two realms are treated slightly differently, or maybe they're not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's just a general mind shift that needs to happen that will affect it all. What is your take on that?
Well, thank you for asking. And once again, you're just amazing for doing this, but for being open. Because I came in such an unusual place where I was already a professional dancer, and this is something God told me to do, my confidence was in the Lord. So that's the first thing. And my confidence was in this fact that I knew I was an amazing dancer, not because I made myself, because the Lord has given me that. I've been taking classes, so I had that confidence going in. And so any place you put me, I'm going to step out and I'm going to be confident. The other thing is, so I have that piece. So that person who's coming into it, the African-American woman, or, if she's coming in this, know what you have first. Make sure this is where you need to be. If you're going to be professional, the rules are the same with dance. If I could talk like a mom right now, the rules are the same with dance as it is with singing, acting, drawing. If you really don't have that, then you need to keep it real. This is not for you. You should stay as, but if you know that this is a gift and your teacher has told you and you feel and the Lord has showed you, you are gifted. You need to fight to the end to do what you were put on this earth to do. And so that's the first step. Your confidence needs to be in your true talent. I don't believe everyone can do everything. And in my lifetime, being the age that I am, I've seen performing arts shift in that way. I don't know if you've seen it. And it's really frustrating as a real actress and a real dancer to see everyone must be an actor. Everybody's a dancer. Oh, everybody, all I gotta do is put some skills together. And there are some people that actually have a gift in it. And sure, if you want to do it and you can do it, that's fine. But I believe there are people with true gifts. They really have a gift in something. And then if they add the training with it, you are amazing. So while everyone should take classes, everyone should try and find out if that's their thing, be real with yourself starting off. Is this really for me? And if it is, because if it isn't, you've got a gift somewhere else that you're reneging on, that you would have soared, and you're in somebody else's gifting that you're going to struggle. So right off the bat, I do believe people should stay in their calling like I did, because doors will open for you. So that's the first thing. Make sure this is really for you. Then you fight for it, and you stay in there and you fight for it. And the next thing I would say is find out, we talked about this and we'll go into it a little more, what kind of belly dancer are you? Because it's okay to carve out your space or to join, to be who you are. And if we're going to bring in more cultures, you may have to define what that is. And I want to talk to you more about that as a teacher. But the next thing is, I'm full of ideas. Right now, this is more practical for you as a teacher, and to answer your question. We have platforms now. Everyone's online. How do we change things? If we were not going through COVID-19, I would say, do a performance with an African-American woman that you think is amazing, and use your platform to do a duet with her. Use your platform to get her on there. You say, well, I'm going to come to I want to do something special this week with the restaurant, and I want to introduce you to this amazing dancer I have. I'm going to come this week with her. So I'm going to make sure everything's fine. So they can't lie and say she didn't do a good job, because you'll be there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Introduce this beautiful, amazing dancer yourself. If you know what I mean, be that change in that way. So in other words, let's say the restaurant is saying, because if we go back to regular life ever, and we are doing that again, God,
no.
Answering your question the way life used to be, I would say, do the festival with her, do a duet, and then she goes out. You let her in. use yourself like you're doing with me, and then step back and let everyone see her. That's confidence. Teachers have to be confident. My mother was a teacher. She taught me that. She said when she taught English classes, she said sometimes I'd have this brilliant child that was like smarter than me, but my confidence came in letting them be that. I had to let them. That they're not going to take my degrees away. Isn't that what I want? Isn't that the whole point? We're facilitators. We don't tell them what they are. We facilitate them to be what God made them to be. So teachers need to know that. They need to not go into these jobs. I'm not going to go into this conversation about policemen, but similar to that, with much is given, much is required. Like a good policeman knows he has this authority to actually serve like Jesus serves. Jesus, if we believe he's God, he could have killed everybody who treated him wrong, but he had power, and what he did was he used it to serve and to love. So as teachers, we have a power. You can say something that can make her never want to dance again, but with that power comes responsibility, and you can use that to introduce her to things. So maybe once a quarter as a teacher, you say, I'm going to sponsor one dancer. Let's say we're back into the normal world and we answer that question that way, and I'm going to take her to a restaurant with me, so they can't tell me what she did because I was there. And I'm going to say, listen, I'm going to dance with her today. Okay, I'm going to come and I'm going to do it. And I want to introduce you to this beautiful dancer, and I'm going to package her, tell you what she can do, and she's going to make sure she delivers it, and she delivers it. And you're going to teach them. And the blonde girl, the girl with the red hair, pick someone that you feel, I'm going to carry you right now. Mm-hmm. Harriet Tubman, she couldn't have done that without a white face up above. Somebody up there had to lie to hide us downstairs, down in the underground. So it's like she had allies. So they had to literally get themselves in the trenches to bless. And then it's not going to go on forever, because you're going to make that, you're vetting them. You're giving them the seal of approval. And then at one point you won't have to do it anymore because she came with you. So that's one answer. A festival, creating a festival, saying, I'm going to do a duet with this late girl that I think is amazing. They won't go with her by herself, but if she's with you, artists do that, singers do that. They put people on there, they collab, they bring a new artist in. And we don't care about the new artist, but because he's singing with Justin Bieber, now I know that new artist, and now I like that. He approved that person. You see what I'm saying? So you really get in the trenches, really actually hold her hand and actually go to that restaurant with her and say, that's okay. I want to try something different. I want to just introduce you to something really special. She's amazing. I will come personally and we'll dance together. Why would they say no to you? A festival, you do a duet, and then she does one by herself. That's another way to do it. You know what I'm saying? Do things, and you won't have to do it forever, but you will be known for that one that did that.
No, I love that. It's so practical and it's easy. It's very easy. Yeah.
And then you can keep on doing it the way you want to do it after that, and have the conversations with them, teaching them that in America we have to be open-minded. We talked about that, and we can't discriminate. I know that you want this, but sometimes I'm going to have to. There's this thing with where they're hiring you to give them someone that fits their thing. So I know how that works. The other thing is what's going on today. I don't think we've leaked into today. Look what we're doing. You just did it. You're using your platform. We were thinking of doing something together as a dance here. We can use platforms like this. You can actually connect with bigger platforms and say, I have a duet I want to do. Or I'm doing something and she's doing something, and then I'm going to do something separate. Like, you still promote yourself. You don't want to but you can actually right now, you can put together a virtual festival or a concert, and you can make sure that person's up there and give them that moment where it's like, see, a lot of times they never got a chance to see it. Another analogy is I was a Mary Kay consultant, and I noticed that until I put the makeup on their faces, they said, no, Mary Kay, that old stuff, that Mary Kay, being in Texas. And until I put it on their faces, they were like, it's an experience. And they're like, I love this stuff. And my classes were like that. They'd be like, oh, it's just like Zumba. I'm like, no, it's different. I promise. They would come in and fall in love with it. It's one of those things where people, you can't tell them. They have to experience. So if you ever have found a dancer, if you do get one that you think is just like, oh gosh, people have got to see her, don't send her by herself. Latch her onto somebody who already has a following. Now people will give her a chance, and now they're like, oh snap, she is pretty. She is amazing. I think I'm going to keep her name for, she doesn't fit this, but she might fit this. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So think of yourself as Justin Bieber and say, what would I do if I was Justin Bieber?
What I would do for Justin Bieber.
Exactly. And so that's I'm a problem solver. So this is my advice to anyone out there who's honestly wanting to do this and not just saying it, but you really are wanting to. And if there's someone listening who's truly wanting to and isn't insecure in their abilities, like my mom was saying, I can't be insecure as a teacher. I got to let them. You're always going to be remembered as the one that gave her that chance. She'll never forget that. And no one's ever going to forget that. So, you can, you know what I'm saying? And one more thing, if anyone's afraid, because I think that's what the problem with this institutionalizing the privilege and all that, a lot of the hate is coming from someone who's afraid of losing that privilege. That's where it's coming from, and all the different, we all have fingerprints. No, there's no other Sahira. There's nobody like you. No one could ever be you, ever. And I don't care if you do the hip drops a million times. I'm never going to do it exactly the same as you. I'm not going to give the same energy as you. No one's going to ever be Patrice. I don't care how much you try to be me. I've taught so many people that, haven't you noticed with your students? They're doing it there. So don't ever be afraid. God made you uniquely teacher and student. And no matter how great your student is, there's only one you. And you were the blessing to that person that made them. So if they get big, you are always attached to them being big. Do you see what I'm saying? So look at it differently. Don't look at it like, but then she's going to be better than me and she's better than me. No, she's not. She's just got her calling. She's just got her gifting that's going to be used. And you've got your gifting. And it's just, you got to let each other share the space. And I would say to all privilege is don't worry about privilege and all that, because there's pretty privilege. I've had pretty privilege. And so what do I do with women in my class that are like, no, you're prettier than me? And I'm like, no, you're beautiful in your own way. Like, I want to share the space. And I think that's what you're doing. And I think that's the answer. If you want to get over this privilege thing that you think people are saying you have, or you didn't know you had, you just kind of inherited and it's not even your fault. And what do I do with it? Well, use it to show people that I want to share the space. That's all. You're never going to lose who you are.
No, it's coming from a place of abundance, right? That there's enough for everyone. There really is in this big wide world. And so, absolutely. There should be no fear on the part of teachers that they're going to give away too much when it comes to their students, right?
There's only one you. Exactly.
Absolutely. Great. So I love this advice to teachers, right? And how to make your classroom more inclusive and more aware of all the bodies and all the people and where they're coming from. Would you have any advice to people who are, sort of following, I don't know if anyone's going to follow in your exact footsteps because your story is so unique, but for other African-American women who are maybe looking at belly dance and saying, oh no, I don't think that's for me for whatever reason. Any advice to them?
Well, first of all, I've had a lot of them come to me when I would perform. And they're like, I've never seen myself. So just know that if you're thinking about it, we do need to be out there on higher platforms because there's a need, there's a heart. When you do the parties, you're going to always hear someone say, oh my goodness, I've never seen someone that looked like me. And that's why I keep my natural hair and I'm just me. And you know what you're going to get when I get there, the Caribbean fusion, because she's probably a Black woman, So I would say be true to yourself. That's what I would say. And I'm glad you asked that question because on the other side, as the student, providing that you really know that this is the thing God is putting your heart to do and this is truly your thing and God is going to see you through. That's what I do believe that. On my channel, I talk a lot about women and their ministry to uplift them to stay in their calling. That's where all the blessings are. That's probably how you knew. It's like, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Make sure that's it. That's intact. Don't just do it because you like it. If you're going to go professional, go in because you know this is yours. This is really for you. And work. Do the work. And when you're doing the work, if you're not like me, because I have a unique story, and you're in a classroom with a wonderful teacher like Sahira, and you've gotten that teacher that's amazing, stick with that teacher. Get that feedback. Get that feedback from your peers. They say peers give grade. And if they're starting to repeat something you're really good at, take that and bottle that up. Teacher and student can use this together and start to get stronger in that because that's probably who you are. And when you find out who you are, go to the end with it. Become a master at it. Get the clothing. Get your act together. You know what you're good at so that you can deliver. I'm about write a check you can cash. If you say you're going to do it, deliver it and deliver it well. Would you agree? Are you
Absolutely.
in that?
No, that's definitely important. You've got to walk your talk, right?
And she's going to, and if you have somebody, so in other words, we're talking about getting professional. If someone's going to be putting you out there, and they're going to put their name on the line, you have got to deliver. So stay in those classes knowing what you're good at, know your strength and master it. And then come and say, I know, I'm good at this. You hear me? They always tell me, I'm ready. All right. If you're ready, deliver. I would say deliver. And when you deliver, no one can complain about what you look like when you deliver. Deliver and do things for your family. Do things for friends. Start to tell your community. You don't need permission to get a party from a family member or to do your own little festival or to do things like that. And if you have a wonderful teacher, she can create situations where maybe there's a classroom showcase or I don't know, but get creative so that you can start getting your buzz out there of what you're good at. Deliver. And when you deliver, people, everybody broke all of our ancestors have broke through things because their talents were so amazing. If you deliver, they have to accept everything that comes with it. That's what I would say. Deliver. Don't come in there with like not that great at what you're doing and saying, oh, it's because I'm Black. No. You need to deliver just as much as she needs to deliver. You work really hard at what you do, and we need to work hard at what we do. And when we go there, we need to deliver and do it joyfully. So package yourself knowing what you are and work hard to get there. Get those avenues. Go out there and deliver. And I promise you'll get another one and another one and another one. And find your niche, because there's going to be a group of people that love you. You're going to have a group, maybe your church. I don't know. They love you. And so the biggest thing I would say also is, of course, be true to yourself. And if you've received Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you have that breakthrough where you're saying, God, just show me what my path is. And that's kind of my advice.
Yeah, coming from a place of authenticity, right?
Yes,
Absolutely.
be real. Be true to yourself. People can see right through it, you know, and they can't, you know, think about it. All of the people who have broke through for us, it was something that they brought with, which was pure and real and good. They were good at what they did, right? And then they said, well, I guess we have to take the Black with it because they're the best baseball player or that's the best football. I guess we're going to have to deal with the fact that they're Black. And it's like, you just have to bring the joy, bring it. And then they're like, wow, that's what comes with it. I'm taking it. And I have to do that sometimes for my faith, is that some people are like, I don't know about that Christian stuff. Well, she's a good dancer. Okay, we'll take it. So it's like, you know what I mean? When you're good,
okay,
it comes with it. Just, you know, and so it brings it back to the teacher and you probably telling your students that, you know, let's keep it pure. Let's keep it real. Let's stay within what the pure talent is and what the genre is and what you are. Stay there. As you keep your craft sharp and you are true to yourself, everything else follows. I truly believe that. You will get some pushback, but everything follows. I just really believe that. It has for me.
Gotcha. No, it's a beautiful thought. And I really hope that's true. I want to believe that that's true. I know there's so many dancers in the belly dance community right now who are releasing their stories of frustration. They've worked their whole lives. They've won awards. They've done amazing things, but they've just never made it to where they've wanted to be professionally because they feel for racist reasons. And it's heartbreaking to imagine that could be the truth. And I believe them. I mean, this is their experience. And so I really pray and hope we can come to a place where when it is your calling and it is your passion and it is your authentic self, that it will be accepted wholeheartedly, no matter what you look like, right? Like, I think it's so important. It's so important.
These are the kinds of things that can be done to start, because you're always going to have pushback, but you got to start somewhere.
It's a mountain to climb, right? We're going to climb it together. So I love this, Patrice. This has been amazing. Before we wrap up, I want to know, where can people find you? What are you up to? How can we come dance with you and support you and promote you and love on you and do all those good things?
Well, I'm on here like you. I'm on YouTube. We're sister YouTubers. And my channel is Patrice Evans, D''Evans. And I do 4 different shows, I guess. Sunday is a show where I focus on ministry directly from the Bible for women, uplifting. I'm always moving. You won't believe it. I start off doing a little belly dancing, and then I go into the... So I probably get rid of a lot of people from the get-go. They're like, oh, she's a sinner.
What is she doing? I love it.
But it's what God told me to do, so I'm obedient. So I do a little something to move, and then I get into scripture, and I get into stuff like that. And that's on Sunday at 2 on my channel, live. And then on Tuesdays, I show my performances. I just show off performances of anything that I'm doing, even with acting. And so that's what I'm going to be doing today, posting something. On Thursdays, I talk about the hair, because I believe, and you know, with belly dance, hair is a big deal too, but there's a woman's glory. We love our hair. So I have a natural hair product line, Ayurveda Curls. So if anybody wants to know. And on Saturdays is when I pull it all together. It's the belly dance fit with Patrice. Saturdays at 11 live on my channel. And I basically just help a woman unlock her joy practically, like pull it all together, body, mind, and spirit. And I use belly dance as a tool to just use movements to just kind of freestyle and what they consider, we know it's improvisation, but a lot of people know it as freestyle, just to make it a part of their vocabulary, just get comfortable. It's a good way to get started. So that's what I do on my YouTube channel.
Awesome. You're not busy at all.
I love it, every minute of it.
That's incredible. I'm so impressed. I can't wait. I'm totally going to jump in and try your belly down, all of it. I want to see all of it. I want to see all the things. That's amazing. Yes. And then we need to talk. Let's talk more about a collaboration. I think it would be so much fun. It would be amazing. And now's the time because it's all online and we got this going on. So this is great. Awesome. Well, thank you, Patrice. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about your journey, your story, which is such a unique one. And I hope that this brings to people a sense of hope, a sense of understanding, a way forward, maybe a bit of marching orders for those of us who are in a position of privilege where we can hopefully change the tide and work to promote not just diversity, but actively be anti-racist and get more people into our classroom and inspire more women, because we all know, all of us who belly dance know what a beautiful place it can be and what a healing dance it is. Yes. And so I want to heal this horrible wound that's happening right now with the dance. And I appreciate you helping me move that forward.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. You're just so beautiful, and I just appreciate you so much.
Oh, thanks, Chica.